Good evening, my fellow exorcists, and welcome to the lair of Filmaroo. Now, just so you guys know, this video is going to be a little different. It's going to be very similar to the Cartoon Network video that we did last week. And that's because tonight I've decided that we're going to talk about the many different cartoons that used to be on Nickelodeon and how the channel and its many brothers and sisters has pretty much changed for me since I grew up. Like most people, I'm pretty sure we've all grown up with Nickelodeon. We've grown up with its Nick Jr. block, which had shows like Dora. We grew up with Blue's Clues. We grew up with Oswald, Little Bill, the Backyardigans, Go Diego Go, Wonder Pets. The later generation grew up with Ni Hao Kai Lan, Team Umizoomi, the other iteration of Dora, which was Dora and Friends in the City, Ubi, which was a really weird show about hand puppets, Blues Room, the Fresh Beat Band, Wah Wah Wubsy, I think one of the shows was called. Everyone knows who Dora and Little Bill and the other shows are. I mean, we all grew up with them. We all started on Nickelodeon and Nick Jr. and Noggin with them. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people also really know the early 90s shows, like Doug, which moved over to Disney, and that's where I predominantly found that. Everybody's favorite. I mean, you can't go into my store or anywhere else without seeing at least a Rugrats t-shirt, a Hey Arnold t-shirt or pants. I actually have a pair of them in my room myself. Everyone's heard of Ren and Stimpy and their adult party cartoon variant, Rocko's Modern Life, Angry Beaver's Cat Dog, which had to be one of the most creative shows, with the idea of creating both one of the most mixed up fucking creatures in the world, Wild Thornberries, which also did its crossovers with Rugrats and many other shows, As Told by Ginger, Invader Zim, which came back recently with that movie. The long-running Fairly Odd Parents, which recently ended and is now having its new awkward iteration without Drake Bell. Chalk Zone, also a really fun show. Jimmy Neutron, my god, this was my show as a kid. I would watch it every week, and actually, one of the first Nick movies I got to see next to the SpongeBob movie was actually the Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius movie, which helped create the series. We also had All Grown Ups, the Rugrats spin-off, My Life as a Teenage Robot, a really good show that a lot of people were begging for in that Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl game. Danny Phantom, another one of the shows that I grew up watching. Avatar: The Last Airbender, everybody's favorite show, including its spin-off, Korra, which everyone would watch either on Nicktoons or Nickelodeon, and I think everyone's still a fan of it, despite the terrible movie. The X's, Cat Scratch, El Tigre, which showed up on Cartoon Nick, about the Mexican superhero dressed as a cat with the villain grandfather. The lesser-known Tak and the Power of Juju, which I, for some odd reason, had the video game for this. Back on the Barnyard, which I believe is still on Toon Nick sometimes, and it spun off from the movie, which was a lot better than the TV series.
Cap.
Mighty Bee, The Penguins of Madagascar, Fanboy and Chum Chum, Planet Sheen, Tough Puppy, some of the worst shows I can remember. There was also Kung Fu Panda for a while. One of my favorites was the Winx Club. It was kind of a revival of the old show that used to be on 4Kids, which I loved watching, despite it mainly being for girls, and it was awesome. A bunch of other shows that I also can't really say that I watched because honestly, let's just say my experience with Nickelodeon kind of ended at 2011 when they started doing all the dumb, awkward shows like Sanjay and Craig and Breadwinners, and a lot of their comedy started becoming about butts. I'm also missing the live-action shows where actually one of the main things that I watched on here because when I was 8, I was really fascinated with live-action shows. I used to really be into the Degrassi show, trying to catch whatever reruns I could. I didn't really get to see all of it of the Next Generation, but I was really into the drama that was on it. Drake and Josh, another really good show that everyone remembers. Ned's Declassified, which was a huge show for anyone who was in high school trying to figure out how to be popular, but also it was really weird, and it just was just coming up with these weird ideas for high school, and evil science teachers and other things like that. But to make it, there was also Mr. Meaty, a really awkward, weird puppet show that would show up really late nights. The Naked Brothers Band, which sadly got canceled pretty quickly, despite being really good. Zoe 101, one of my favorite shows that I think it's the only one on Nickelodeon that I technically finished when they did that one marathon, I think in 2010. And I think they still show it on Teen Nick sometimes, and I'm really sad that, like most of these shows that I mentioned, it kind of got canceled because some of the cast left, I think. But I do remember enjoying it. I heavily remember the romance between Zoe and I think his name was Jake. There was also the Halloween special where they messed with that one really annoying kid. The episode where they mess with, I think the character's name was Michael, where they messed with his head with the it was some psychology project, and there was this weird Spanish little person who, one of the lines he says was shh, I'm taking my fish for a walk, and shh, the jalapenos are sleeping. It's just, that was some weird comedy. This is what Nick was at. Like, that's why we also like the original iCarly, the True Jackson VP, Big Time Rush, Victorious, Clyde Hathaways, Every Which Way. I was also hugely into the Are You Afraid of the Dark, the game shows like Legends of the Hidden Temple, just also Brain Surge. Just, guys, this channel was amazing during the early 2000s and before then, because it was just so creative and so fun. And just being a kid in this era, you had Cartoon Network, you had Disney, which I'm gonna do in part 3, and you had Nickelodeon, which had, honestly, I think the most channels out of these 3. Like, they had 2 Nick Game shows, Nick Game and Sports, Noggin, Teen Nick, Nickelodeon 2, which you could watch if you missed any of the other shows, because it was technically like for the West Coast, and if you lived in the East Coast, you could watch the episode of the show that you missed because you had something to do on the East Coast. These shows were so awesome. And I also kind of forgot to mention SpongeBob because, well, I do remember that. Nowadays, like, right after I turned 10 or 11, I just got bored of SpongeBob because I was starting to notice all the adult jokes, and I was starting to notice just how annoying SpongeBob as a character was, and now he's getting 3 spin-offs. He's getting 3 spin-offs, one with Patrick, one with some camp, and I think there's another one. And just, there's also the Rugrats reboot, which I haven't gotten to see yet. Just after 2010, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the shows started to suck. Like, they started doing spin-offs of other shows, like Sam and Cat was a spin-off of Victorious and iCarly, and it fell through pretty heavily. And also with Fairly Odd Parents, where they started out great, and now they're just getting a lot dumber and adding all these unneeded characters. And now, like I mentioned before, they did the somewhat decent live action Fairly Odd Parents movies, and then they're moving on to like a live action Fairly Odd Parents with Timmy's I think cousins, and they don't even have Drake Bell because I guess there was complications with Drake Bell and Nickelodeon, so now he's out, and they got some other actor that looks nothing like him and is a lot more annoying. People are still enjoying this channel. Some enjoy SpongeBob for some odd reason. Some enjoy like the Game Shakers, Thundermans, Henry Danger, and its spin-offs. And honestly, I don't get it. I mean, I guess I grew up a little too much to be interested in a lot of these weirder shows. I haven't even watched Loud House, which a lot of people really like, or its spin-off. But yeah, I can't say Nickelodeon has run out of ideas or isn't still popular, but also, like I said, I might have just grown out of it. Like, I'm so enamored with the other shows that I grew up with and how creative they were. It's just, I guess it's like nostalgia fever where I'm just so, I miss the old shows and the old concepts that they would do, just how creative they felt compared to now. I don't know, maybe I've grown way too old. I've grown older, or the channel has moved away from my demographic. Like, they used to have so many good shows about teenagers and just the hardships of life, and they were less cartoony and more relatable and more, I guess relatable is the closest term I can get. Like, for some reason, Nickelodeon feels like it lost its spark for me. And again, that might just be because I was born, or I grew up right after the 90s and right in the early 2000s, which a lot of the really good shows were geared to, and then I guess I became a teenager, and yeah, I geared more towards Cartoon Network with the certain cartoons that they were putting out during like 2010 to 2015, and then Disney has always been a big thing for me, and I'm starting to notice a lot better shows from them. So Nickelodeon also had the Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir, which now is owned by Disney, so I guess I'm looking forward to going more to Disney now for shows like that. Plus, now Nickelodeon has Paramount and their streaming service, so now it's a lot harder to rewatch a lot of shows because now you have to buy that streaming service. And I mean, if they brought back a lot of the older shows, started showing them more on the like Cartoon Network used to do, I guess I would be more interested. But a lot of the old shows are starting to die off, and I don't know, these channels are becoming a lot more geared towards much younger audiences than teenagers and older people, or like the preteens, where it's a lot of their humor is starting to be a lot more like gross out humor, or just some shows that are dumber than they have to be. I don't know. I like I said, I guess I've grown out of Nickelodeon. which is really sad because I did enjoy a lot of the Nick shows and the Nicktoon movies, and honestly, this is why I hate growing up. And just in the comments, let us know what Nickelodeon shows you guys miss, what you remember from your childhood, what you wish they would bring back, what you wish they kept on a bit longer, and just your fondest memories of Nickelodeon. And stay tuned for our episode on Disney Channel and how the nostalgia has probably kicked my butt in that too. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the little notification bell for more of our content. And have a great night and try and stay as young as possible.